Time again for our Send It to 7 Picks of the Week.
Emily Griffin has a roundup of some of her favorites.
Send It to 7 Picks of the Week, sponsored by Foy Agency.
Let's start by taking a look at our Memorial Day celebrations. Theron Page shared these shots from the Cape Vincent Parade. And in Madrid, Captain MJ Rocker sent this footage of ceremonial firings over the Grass River. Meanwhile, these kids were cooling off from that Memorial Day weather. Little Henry is getting sprayed by Declan, and Quinn can be seen in the background. Thanks to Meredith Sullivan for sharing. This group of cousins in Cape Vincent decided to put on a lemonade stand. I certainly hope they made lots of money. And I couldn't resist adding in this little doggy with a bucket hat. His name is Griffin. Justin Miller was at Cayuta Lake when he saw this huge turtle. And there was yet another moose sighting in Pamelia. Julie Longacre saw it on Perch Lake Road. Jocelyn Garaminich did some bird sightings. I love this shot of baby birds because they look like angry little Albert Einsteins. Finally, Debbie Carpenter says her son is raising these ducklings, so of course they had to have a little photo shoot. Love it, and thank you to everyone who sent it to 7. Emily Griffin, 7 News.